Welcome to the CISO Daily Update.
Tennessee school district loses $3.4 million to a fake curriculum vendor. A Tennessee school district lost $3.36 million in a business email compromise scam when an employee mistook a fraudster for a representative of educational provider Pearson. The Johnson County Board of Education's finance director was tricked into wiring the funds that were intended for curriculum materials. The scam involved a fake email address and wire transfers to fraudulent accounts tied to a 76-year-old Texan who was allegedly acting as a money mule. Despite attempts at recovery, only $742,000 of the stolen money was retrieved. BEC scams remain a significant threat, with billions lost in 2023. Port of Seattle confirms August cyberattack by Rhysida ransomware. The Port of Seattle confirmed that the Rhysida ransomware gang was responsible for the August 2024 cyberattack that disrupted operations at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport and maritime facilities. The attackers encrypted data and caused outages in critical services such as baggage handling and check-in kiosks. Despite demands, the port refused to pay the ransom, citing its commitment to taxpayer responsibility. While most services were restored within a week, the investigation is ongoing. In recent months, Rhysida has also targeted other sectors, including healthcare and government. Microsoft vows to prevent future CrowdStrike-like outages. Microsoft announced plans to enhance its security capabilities to prevent IT outages like the one caused by CrowdStrike in July. The outage occurred when a faulty CrowdStrike Falcon sensor update disrupted critical sectors by preventing Windows systems from booting correctly. To address such vulnerabilities, Microsoft will develop new capabilities focused on areas outside of kernel mode, like anti-tampering protection and security sensor requirements. These plans were discussed at a recent Microsoft-hosted security summit, which included security vendors and government officials. FBI tells public to ignore false claims of hacked voter data. The FBI and CISA warn the public to ignore false claims of U.S. voter data being hacked, stressing that malicious actors are spreading disinformation to undermine confidence in elections. These claims often misuse publicly available voter registration data and present it as proof of cyberattacks, though no evidence exists to support an actual hack. The agencies reassure that such data does not impact the voting process or election results, urging citizens to verify election security information through official sources and remain cautious of misleading claims as the November 5th elections approach. 23andMe pledges $30 million to the 6.4 million people affected by data breach. 23andMe will pay $30 million to settle lawsuits related to an October 2023 data breach that impacted 6.4 million users. Hackers exploited stolen credentials to access sensitive health data through the DNA relatives feature and posted some of it on the dark web. Despite denying wrongdoing, the settlement requires the company to improve security measures, including enhanced password protections, multi-factor authentication, and annual security audits. This breach involved the genetic data of Ashkenazi and Chinese heritage users and led to investigations in Canada and the UK. Apple suddenly drops NSO Group spyware lawsuit. Apple withdrew its lawsuit against NSO Group, citing concerns that continuing the legal battle could expose sensitive vulnerability data and jeopardize its threat intelligence efforts. Apple initially sued NSO Group in 2021, accusing it of using spyware to target iOS users. However, Apple now fears that ongoing litigation could inadvertently reveal critical anti-exploitation strategies and hinder its efforts against similar threats. The company also noted that the spyware landscape has evolved, with many new actors emerging, reducing the potential impact of any legal victory against NSO Group. Ivanti cloud service appliance flaw is being actively exploited in the wild. Ivanti warned that its recently patched vulnerability CVE 2024-8190 in the cloud service appliance is actively being exploited in the wild. This high-severity flaw, with a CVSS score of 7.2, allows remote code execution when an attacker has admin-level privileges. While Ivanti has released a security update for CSA 4.6, they recommend upgrading to CSA 5.0 as version 4.6 is end-of-life and lacks continued support. The company has not disclosed specific details about the attacks, but affected customers are urged to update to mitigate risks. Citrix Workspace app vulnerabilities allow privilege escalation attacks. Citrix issued security updates to address two critical vulnerabilities, CVE 2024-7889 and 90, in the Citrix Workspace app for Windows. These flaws allow local attackers to escalate their privileges to the system level. CVE 2024-7889 has a CVSS score of 7.0, while CVE 2024-7890 scores 5.4. Affected versions include current release before 2405 and long-term service release before 2402 LTSR-CU1. Citrix advises upgrading to the latest versions and following security best practices, such as using encrypted URLs and restricting physical access to appliances. CISA also recommends applying these updates promptly. Apple Vision Pro vulnerability exposed virtual keyboard inputs to attackers. A recently patched vulnerability in Apple's Vision Pro headset, known as GazePloit CVE 2024-40865, exposed users' virtual keyboard inputs to potential attackers. The flaw allowed malicious actors to infer keystrokes by analyzing the eye movements of virtual avatars during gaze-controlled typing. The vulnerability was found in the headset's presence component and addressed in Vision OS 1.3 by suspending the persona feature when the virtual keyboard is active. This sophisticated attack used gaze estimation and a supervised learning model to remotely reconstruct typed text, potentially compromising sensitive information like passwords. Progress WhatsUp Gold exploited just hours after POSI release for critical flaw. The exploitation of critical vulnerabilities in Progress software WhatsUp Gold began just hours after a proof-of-concept exploit was released on August 30, 2024. The flaws CVE 2024, 66, 70, and 71, with CVSS scores of 9.8, allow unauthenticated attackers to retrieve encrypted passwords. Despite patches issued in mid-August 2024, some organizations failed to update promptly, which led to various cyber attacks. These attacks involve bypassing authentication to execute remote code. It follows previous vulnerabilities in WhatsUp Gold and other platforms like Atlassian Confluence. Stolen account info still chief risk for federal agencies. Annual CISA audit finds. An annual CISA audit reveals that stolen account information remains the top security risk for federal civilian agencies, with 41% of successful cyber attacks in 2023 exploiting default or stolen administrator accounts. CISA's risk and vulnerability assessments highlight weak passwords, unremoved former employee accounts, and phishing as common tactics used by hackers. Additionally, misconfigurations and vulnerabilities stemming from inadequate secure-by-design principles were frequently exploited. As hackers and nation-state actors increasingly trade stolen credentials, federal agencies face growing pressure to tighten account management and enhance their defenses. Organizations still don't know how to handle non-human identities. Organizations are struggling to secure non-human identities such as bots, API keys, and service accounts, which significantly expand the attack surface and are harder to manage than human identities. A survey by the Cloud Security Alliance and Asterisk Security reveals that many organizations lack confidence in their NHI security, with common issues including inadequate credential rotation, overprivileged accounts, and poor monitoring. Most identity access management tools are not specifically designed for NHIs. However, there is a growing recognition of the need for NHI security, with 60% of organizations planning to invest in this area within the next year. Cyber insurance set for explosive growth. The cyber insurance market is expected to grow significantly, potentially reaching $45 billion in premiums by 2034 in the US alone. This expansion is fueled by rising digitization and growing concerns about cyber risks. However, sustainable growth will require product innovation, better market penetration, and more capital from insurers, reinsurers, and public-private partnerships. The sector may face challenges similar to those seen in catastrophic events like hurricanes, requiring structural changes and broader market collaboration to manage large-scale cyber losses effectively.
Thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe to our newsletter at CISOheadlines.com. Until next time, stay curious.